Okay, greetings, hello, and welcome everyone to Age of Empires for the Sultan's Ascend. I'm already forgetting how to speak English. We're going over the Order of the Dragon. This is the variant civ for HRE, so included with this DLC are two new civs, the Japanese and Byzantines. I've already made videos covering those civs if you want to check out that content. But there's also a handful of variant civs, and one of them is this one for HRE Order of the Dragon. I've purposefully not been looking at other content for this expansion. I wanted to get like a complete new initial impressions for this, so we're going to go ahead and see what is going on with the Order of the Dragon. So there's a few things I'm noticing right off the bat is that there's no prelates. And it appears that villagers actually cost a little bit more. They're actually called dragon villagers. Let's take a look here. Put that there. They gather, of course, your normal resources. They build and repair buildings. They gather resources 20% quicker and build 20% faster than regular villagers. So that seems to be kind of the improvement here. But correct me if I'm wrong, I do know that the villagers for regular HRE do have the extra carry capacity as well. So I'm assuming they have some sort of slight gather buff that regular HRE does not have. Everything else looks to be kind of similar. There is the emergency repairs ability, which regular HRE does have that. And anything inside the influence, which is this kind of orange-y, yellowish outline, gets that influence. And as you build your buildings, that influence will also continue. Okay, so we have enough resources to age up. Let's go ahead and check. We have looks like the same landmarks. Look at that. The blacksmith, 40% reduced cost and 40% faster. This is actually really awesome. I think this is slept on quite a lot from regular HRE players. A lot of HRE players go straight into the chapel. But it looks like it just automatically has an influence. So, I don't know. This is a pretty great spot. You get the deer, you get the forest, and you have the potential to also get your farms all around this. To drop off for all resource types. I remember when they added that, because going back to when the game launched, the chapel was not a drop-off point. I don't know if it was just for food or not at all. I actually think it was not for anything. So you had to put like your drop-off buildings kind of around it. And I do think adding all resource types to drop off to it is really, really cool. So let's go ahead. We're going to age up here. And we will probably just kind of continue aging up. This seems to be a civ in which there's not a ton of variations so far. In fact, I think the blacksmith is like identical to what you would expect from regular HRE. I mean, of course, the difference is you do not need to have a prelate in the chapel itself in order to get these benefits. And this is terrible for me to say, despite on how many games I've played of HRE, I don't know what the official gather speed increase is on base HRE. I'll have to look that up. Okay, so looking at actually the stable for Order of the Dragon, they have different cav. So the first one is a Gilded Horseman. Fast cav unit effective at raiding, flanking, and countering ranged units. Look how expensive this guy is. 200 food, 40 wood. That's quite an expensive horseman. Next is the Gilded Knight. We won't get those to Castle Age, so we'll have to try that out. Expensive cav with a powerful charge. That's also really expensive. 280 to 200. That is just, if you're going to go cav as this civ, you're definitely going to be paying the price quite literally. But look at that. I mean, that looks sick, actually. The way that the horseman here really looks. So we'll have to give that a shot. And yes, he does move quite quick. if I could get maybe my scout over here, we could maybe do a race and see which one is more effective. Now we have enough resources to age up to age 3. Looks kind of the same, actually, in terms of the official landmarks. You have the cathedral, which acts as a monastery. All relics generate plus 100 gold, plus 100% gold while garrisoned. That's expected. The difference is the Burgrave Palace acts as a barracks that produces units 30% faster and 30% cheaper. That is very different because with regular HRE, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but the base Burgrave Palace only doesn't change any of the cost, but it's like a 200% or maybe even like a 300 or 400% speed increase. It's fast. So this is still fast, but it gives you some cost benefits too. So far, from the variant civs, this is pretty dang close. Much closer than when I cover the opposite variant civ. There's also a video I covered on that as well. That one seems to have more differences than HRE, but nonetheless, we'll continue to age up and see what is different with this civ. Okay, so there is actually quite a difference here with the infantry as well. And man, this is just an expensive civ. Look at these costs. The Gilded Spearmen, again, this is with the cheaper Tekka benefit that the Burgrave Palace gives in this specific building. Still, even with that 30% cost reduction, it's 84 food, 28 wood. This is the Gilded Spearmen, anti-cav specialist, kind of the same as we know it. And then we'll make a man-at-arms and also the Landsknechts as well. Looks really cool, the man-at-arms. And then here's the Spearmen. So, again, continuing the really cool armor. Looks like they have quite a bit of health, 230. That's pretty awesome. I'd love to see... Again, I'm not as much as I play this game, I don't look at so much of the individual stats of units, which I probably should. That's probably an area of improvement for me. But I think that the health and damage is greatly increased with this civ, but I could be wrong. So maybe part of the strats of this, is, if I'm understanding it, is they want you to have less units that have more health and more damage at a higher cost. And that's an interesting... I guess way of playing a civ is, you know, a lot of civs want your units to be maybe perhaps weaker and slower, but not this one. Let's make a Gilded Crossbowman, 160 food for each individual one. That's crazy. You can also increase the range here by +3. We'll find out here in just a second what its range already is. You can also get Dragonfire, Gilded Spearman Torches, deal area of effect damage. That'll be huge when you want to do some raiding against other opposing civs. So, again, it looks like high-cost units. I mean, 140 health for the crossbowman. I mean, that's crazy to me. Okay, so it's time to age up now to age 4. And it actually looks like they're exactly the same. With the same exact benefits, I believe. So you got the Palace of Swabia, which is your town center where you can just make a ton of villagers in a very short amount of time, as well as one of the higher health keeps, the palace. So we'll go ahead and queue this up, get to age 4, and see if there's any continued variations once we get over to age 4. Okay, we are now in age 4, and the dragon villagers have now gone all the way down to 20 food, thanks to the benefit of the Palace of Swabia. So I think, you know, it's probably a benefit to potentially get this landmark. You're probably more encouraged to pick up the Palace of Swabia when you hit age 4, and that's because of the increased cost of the villagers. I mean, the difference between 50 food and 60 food is 20%, so I mean, that's quite a lot. And since they now have the buff of not only carrying extra carry capacity, carrying 40% extra resources, but they gather resources 25% quicker, and they build structures a little bit faster as well. So it's just something to keep in mind, I feel like, with getting the Palace of Swabia. I wonder if you're, like, you know, you're incredibly encouraged to do that over anything else. I find it hard to believe that you would want to go the palace. I'm sorry, the keep. Don't let me lie to you. You want to go to the keep instead because, again, I think unless the game demands it, you should probably stick with this. Let's go ahead. Lastly, let's build a siege workshop as well as the university. We'll see what upgrades are there, and then we'll go attack the poor gentleman on the other side. So at a quick glance, it looks like the siege workshop is pretty much the same, so there's nothing really to worry about there, I don't think. Go ahead and build the university. I'll continue building a military, and then this poor guy will, in fact, get the business. It's also important to note, like, you gotta be really cautious with your villagers with the Order of the Dragon, I think, because they do have a little bit of increased health. It looks like they have 65 health. I don't have the textiles upgrade. I think most villagers' base health is 50, if I'm not mistaken. But, you know, if you get raided, looking at your OGTC, making a regular villager at the 60 food, it's important to see. It's 24 seconds. I mean, that's quite a long time. So you're only going to be making no more than, I mean, not even 3 of these a minute. So as the game kind of progresses, they go down to 8 seconds when you build them out of the Palace of Swabia. So, I mean, I hate to say it, but I think that it almost demands that you go Palace of Swabia, unless there's something catastrophic that needs something else. Finally, I guess since we're here, the university looks like the same upgrades that you would expect from HRE in here. So we will go ahead. And I guess I also, just to be thorough, let's build a monastery, see if there's any benefits to getting some of these relics, and then we'll move on with our victory. So it looks like with the monastery, you can get the Inspired Warriors upgrade for your prelates here. So prelates inspired military units, improving their armor by +1 and damage by +15%. Again, this is me being a noob, I guess, or a scrub, whatever terminology you want to use is probably accurate. I don't actually know the number off the top of my head if that matches base HRE or not. Gilded Knights take 25% less damage when charging. That's the Warhorse upgrade. That sounds pretty cool, actually. Not gonna lie. All right, here we go. We're gonna attack this poor guy. In my last video covering another civ, it was hilarious on how many lumber camps the poor gentleman made, so I want to see if he does that again over here. But nonetheless, I think that is the bulk of the Order of the Dragon variant civilization coming. Probably by the time you are seeing this, the game, or the expansion pack is live. It comes out November 15th. I'm sorry, November 14th. And we will be covering the DLC, streaming it live on our Twitch page. There's a lot of villies over here. And we have other videos covering all the other civs and a ton of great content on the channel. So if that's something you're interested, please be sure to check that out. And finally, our Discord server, where we have ability for you to find other players for your games. You can talk to the experts, if you will, learn more about the game, so on and so forth. All of that is linked down below. But that's going to do it for me. Thank you all so much for watching, everybody, and I'll see you, James.